Good evening everyone. Thank you for watching this video. I am Mr. Ish. In this video we're looking at the concept of angle between vectors. If there are two vectors and this is one of them and this right here is another vector v, what is this angle between the vectors? How do you calculate it? Well, there's a formula. The formula is this: you would have to do the dot product between the two vectors. You know that's the multiplication of their vectors to give you a scalar quantity. We've learned that. Divided by the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v. You know the magnitude of u can be easily determined, or for any vector, as the sum of the individual components squared and square root. You know the dot product for any two vectors is equal to what? It's equal to u1 v1 plus u2 v2. These are the formulas that you need to know to help you determine this. The formula is completed by you looking at this quotient as being angle cosine theta. Then you solve for theta and you do the inverse cosine of all of this. So theta is going to be equal to the inverse cosine or the arc cosine of everything you're seeing above. The dot product divided by the magnitude of these individual vectors in their product form, and you have the quotient. That right there is a formula you need to know. It's not hard. It's an easy concept to understand. Let's show you a very straightforward question here. You don't want to use this for those where you can accurately eyeball the angle. Don't use this for those type of questions. Use it where you cannot clearly tell what the angle is. What do I mean by accurately eyeball? If I have an x and y axis and I have one vector which is right here, and this vector is 5, 0, and it's called vector u, and I have another vector right here v, and it's 0, 2. I know what the angle here is. It's 90 degrees. You can clearly tell it's 90 degrees. Don't use this formula for something like this which you can accurately depict, but let's just use it for the purposes of this specific example. Then we'll do our two questions. Right here, looking at the magnitude of u, you know it's going to be 5 square plus 0 square square root. You know the angle of u is going to be what? It's going to be 0 degrees. Look right over. You don't even need to determine this angle anyhow. Look right here, the v vector has magnitude of 2, 0 square plus 2 square square root 2. The angle of v is what? It's going to be 90 degrees. One way you can determine the angle between two vectors is to do them this way and just do the difference of the two. The angle is going to be 90 minus 0, which is equal to 90. That's one way, but that way requires you to do a little more work. The other way is to do this formula, which requires a certain amount of work. U times v, the dot product, is equal to, you have 0 times 5 plus 2 times 0, right? u1 times v1 or u1 times v1 plus u2 times v2, which is equal to 0. You have everything here in the formula that you need. Cosine theta is equal to dot product divided by the magnitude of these. One is a 5, the other one is a 2, but you're seeing a 0 over 10, which is a 0. Cosine theta is equal to 0. Theta is equal to inverse cosine of 0. You can bring your calculator. You know it's going to be 90 degrees. See, 0 inverse cosine, you get 90. Pi over 2. So the angle has been determined. So remember, if you want to find the angle between two vectors, you can find their individual angles of each of those vectors and minus the large from the small. That's one way, or you can use this formula. In this video, we're learning how to use the formula, so that's what we're going to do. We look at two examples and then we'll utilize the formula and we'll go from there. Let one question be this: vector u is equal to 1, 1. The other vector is equal to 2, minus 1. If you graph it out, it tells you exactly what you are looking at. 1, 1 would be a vector which looks like here. I'm not worrying too much about the size. We're just looking at the angles there. And 2, minus 1 would be something which would look like this. We're looking at this angle right over here. Anyhow, what's the dot product? u1 v1 plus u2 v2. 1 times 2 is 2 plus minus 1 is a 1. What's the magnitude of u? This square plus this square square root, you get a root 2. What's the magnitude of v? This square plus this square square root, you'll get a root 5. So the angle between the two vectors is, by this formula, is equal to the dot product divided by root 2 times root 5, which is 1 over root 10. So cosine theta is equal to this. Theta is equal to the inverse cosine of 1 divided by root 10. Do 1 divided by 10 root and inverse cosine it. I get 71.56 degrees. Theta is equal to 71.56 degrees. It makes sense. The angle over here would be 71.56 degrees, and I'm happy with that answer. Our second question is this: vector u is equal to 0, 3. Vector v is equal to 2, minus 3. We have to find the angle between these two vectors. Let's plot it out. 0 comma 3 is right here, a vector right here, and 2 comma minus 3 is a vector right over here. We have to find this angle right over here. Well, let's find the dot product, u times v. This times this plus that times that. 0 plus minus 9, we're getting a minus 9, right? 0 times 2 is a 0, plus 3 times minus 3 is a minus 9. What's the magnitude of u? It's just going to be a 3. Easy, right? Magnitude of v. This square plus this square, square root 4 plus 9, root 13. Cosine theta is equal to, well, look over here, you know you can have an obtuse angle, so you better look like an obtuse angle. It's going to be the dot product divided by the product of these individual magnitudes. And let's do it. And then theta is going to be inverse cosine of that quotient. And let's do it. We have 9, negative 9 divided by 3 divided by root 13. And now I'm going to do inverse cosine of that. I get 146.3 degrees. Theta is equal to 146.3 degrees. Right here, 146.3. Let's do a quick check over here. Let's find the angle of u, let's find the angle of v, and then we'll do the difference of the two. We'll come over here. The angle of u, you know it's always equal to arctan this divided by that, but we know it's on 90 degrees, so we can just do 90 degrees. Let's find the angle of v. Remember, the angle of any vector individually is equal to the arctan of the y component divided by the x component. Let's do 3 minus divided by 2 inverse tan it. I get a minus 56.3, but I know it's in the fourth quadrant. Add this minus 56.3 to 360 degrees to adjust it. You get 303.69. 303.69. Now how can we go about determining the difference? Well, we know from right here to here is 90 degrees, and from here to here is the rest. You can do the difference between 360 and 303. Minus this from 360 and add 90 degrees to it, and you get 146.3 degrees. So the difference between these two is 146.3, which you know. How did I do that? I had the 90 degrees from right here to here. Then I know this is 303, going from here it's 303. The difference of that from 360 is added to that 90, and you get 146.3, and we are done. That's it for this video. Remember the formula, dot product divided by the magnitudes of individual vectors, both of those in a product. The entire quotient is equal to cosine theta, and that's how you go. Have a good day. Bye.